Hello, and welcome to the Lifestyle Herbalist Podcast, where we hope to inspire you to have a healthy dose of happiness. I'm your co-host, Dabney-BS, clinical herbalist and health coach.
And I'm Sabrina Cooper, registered culinary holistic nutritionist and herbalist. Join us as we dive into the art of herbalism, mindfulness, and healthy lifestyle practices to help you achieve a happier and healthier life. Whether you're a seasoned herbalist or just starting your wellness journey, we're here to provide you with the insights, tips, and inspiration for a more balanced and joyful existence. So grab your favorite herbal tea, sit back, and let's get a healthy dose of happiness together.
Our guest for today's podcast is Heather Wilbee, a certified personal trainer and an accredited active aging coach through CanFit Pro. She is also a metronomic conditioning coach and the owner of She Shed Fitness, a women's first gym located in Fenland Falls, Ontario, Canada. Her passion for fitness and the well-being of women as they age has inspired her to create a space where women can work out at their own pace while being supported in a positive, fun, and uplifting environment. Join us in welcoming Heather as we explore the importance of strength training, including where and how to start, and why we need strength training as we age. Dabney and I are really excited to have Heather with us today on this podcast of strength training. Last week, we recorded a podcast, Dabney and I, on active aging and aging gracefully. And we talked a little bit about strength training and how important it is as women that we really need to have strength training in our world and in our routine. And we thought it would be great to have someone speak to our audience about why we need strength training and perhaps dispel the myths about strength training and bulking up and things like that. Because I think a lot of us are fearful of doing strength training. Maybe we don't know how to do it properly, don't know where to start. And so this is a great way for us to have the conversations with someone who is experienced and knows the information and can answer our questions. So we're excited to have Heather, and I have a few before we start. I thought that Heather could talk a little bit about her journey in the fitness industry and how she got to where she is today.
All right. Well, fitness for me started pretty much in college. I started working out at a local gym in Hamilton. And from there, I was asked by one of the trainers to do a fitness competition. Not really knowing what I was getting myself into and very naive, I said yes. I did it. I'm happy I did it, but will I do one again? Probably not.
Oh, no.
A little outside my comfort zone, being on stage and all that stuff. But I from there, I knew how much I loved fitness. After that, skipping years ahead, I then started getting into Beachbody. And I met someone that was doing classes out of her own gym in Lindsay. She's doing Beachbody classes. So then I got certified through them and their different styles of exercise and started doing classes in Lindsay. After that, I got certified as a personal trainer. And then COVID happened. And to be honest with you, I kind of mentally was in a dark place, and just feeling of no real purpose. And at this point, I'd kind of stopped working out for a little while. So then I started working out at home during COVID again, and I felt so much better mentally. And I was like, you know what? We all need this. We all need this. So I made my husband transform my garage into a little workout area for women only. And next thing I knew, I had 74 women coming to my garage to work out with me. All at various times, obviously. And then it was May of last year. We decided to get a bigger space in town. And yeah, that's how She Shed Fitness became. So now we're up to, last I checked, 430 some odd members.
Wow. That's making lemonade.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a fun journey. It's been good.
It's fun. And it's really fun to have Heather and She Shed Fitness in Fenland Falls because it's such a small community and there's nothing there. There's no gyms or anything like that. And so the closest would be probably Lindsay. And so
Yeah,
this is a really great space for women to get together. It's mainly women. She does have a couple co-ed classes now, but mostly women. So it's like fun for us all to get together and joke and laugh and do all our things and talk about like aging and things. If somebody has an ache and pain, we kind of talk about that. So it's
absolutely.
a really cool place for us to get together. Um, so, I think we should just start with the basics on this topic of strength training because I think a lot of people have misconceptions about bodybuilding. I know you have a lot of experience with that, introduction that you gave us. And people think that we bulk up, that we like will automatically just become like Shira. I always make that cool, for us in that generation, or like, we get like the Hulkster, we're gonna get like these huge, huge muscles. But can you explain to people like kind of what strength training encompasses and really what, in simple terms, what it really means to strength train?
Well, strength training is essentially building muscle mass, like using resistance, with a goal of increasing your strength, endurance, power, things like that. But you, first off, women's bodies are built differently than men, in regards to muscles and how big you're going to get. Second off, if bodybuilding, you're strength training, you're in the gym like 7 days a week. You're lifting loads of weights. Strength training, in simple terms, for us as it relates to aging, the importance of it is for longevity, for to make sure those muscles are strong so that you can perform your daily activities with less effort. It helps with your independence. If you're not able to do things, then it takes away from our independence, things like that. So it's really just building up the muscles and the muscles around your joints and making sure that we're strong enough to perform our daily activities.
So, what other reasons would a woman want to strength train? I mean, why not just walk?
Because bone density, it helps building up, your bone density, which is something that we lose as we age. We also lose muscle mass as we age at a lot faster rate. So we want to make sure we have those, we're staying on top of it. So we have those muscles so that we don't become frail and weak. And like I keep coming back to, but saying, so that we can perform those daily activities. Yeah, there's a lot to it too, as far as mental health.
Mhm.
I kind of touched on that in the beginning.
Mhm.
Mental health, weight management. It also reduced risks of chronic diseases, such as like heart attacks, strokes, obesity, things like that.
Yeah, totally agree. I have had clients in the past who have just really had trouble after menopause, losing this pooch, if you want to call it, like this belly
Yeah,
fat that's kind of just hanging on.
yeah.
How do you help women combat and start to feel good in their skin? And what things do you offer them in your classes that can help them with just the mindset of, they're used to be thin, now they're not so thin, they seem to keep gaining weight. A lot of it is hormonal related, I think, too. But how
Yeah.
does movement benefit a woman who is postmenopausal?
Well, so first off, in the gym that I run specifically, it's a community. Like Sabrina was saying, you come in there, there's other women within that class that are going through the same thing, so you don't feel alone.
Mhm.
So it's a sense of community support, things like that. As well, when you work out, it releases those endorphins, those happy hormones, and you're doing something for yourself. So it tends to, make you feel better about yourself. That being said, all of our bodies are different, and nutrition does play a big role in that. You can't out train a bad diet. But as far as movement and exercise, you're doing something good for yourself. So you tend to feel a little bit better about yourself.
And I
Yeah.
think like Heather was saying, in these group classes, it doesn't, wherever you go, it's finding your tribe, finding that group of women that you can stay accountable with, and understanding that you're not alone. I know that even at the She Shed, there is also a class for 55 plus, or 50, is it 50 or 55?
50 plus, yeah.
50 plus.
Yeah.
But even in the classes that are not the 50 plus class, champion classes, I think you call them,
Yeah.
there's still like women who are in their 50s, even 60s. I
Oh
don't know if
yeah.
they're 70s, but but they come into the class, and if they can only lift the 5 pound weight and do the exercise, or no weight, they're still using their body to like get stronger, and they're there. So that's like the first step. And some of us even come in class, we're achy, we're tired, we're this, we're that. We all have those days. And as soon as we finish, even during the class, everybody's mood seems to shift as soon as we start moving
Absolutely.
and we're laughing. And by the end, everybody's so happy and energized leaving the class. So it just goes to show that you go into it one way and you'll come out of it another way, and regardless, just because you're moving and releasing and sweating and getting all that out of your system. So I think that's kind of a great part of the mental and emotional part, especially going through aging and our menopausal years. I mean, we're all in that. It seems like we're all in that, except for some of the younger girls, of course.
Yeah.
But it's it's fun kind of working with them, because I feel like, I don't know, do you feel like sometimes like we're inspiring to them, that you're at a certain age and you can actually sometimes do exercises maybe that they're
Absolutely.
struggling with? And then for me, I know myself, I look at thinking of my younger self. I know there's this whole thing about seeing your younger self, where I was there thinking, oh, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. And I feel like saying, like, to my younger self, like, yes, you were doing great at that point, and now you're even doing better because you did that when you were in your younger youth. And so these girls that are out there now, I even think it's great for them too. So I feel
And
like,
yeah, I feel like it's like no matter what age you are, like even myself, I have a client, she's 72. She runs marathons. Like she does personal training with me. She runs the Boston Marathon. She runs this marathon in Philadelphia. She's 72, just about to be 73. Like it's so inspiring.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
definitely. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
yeah, it's great.
And,
And go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
And it's you don't have to be running marathons to be inspiring. Just the fact that you're out and you're mobile, you're moving, you're doing things for yourself, you are still independent. Like that to me in itself is inspiring because I see the flip side to that. I see the people that are only 60 and they're stagnant. They're sitting on the couch. You don't use it, you lose it. And so
Yeah, there's a statistic that I learned about recently that talks about health span versus lifespan. And this is particularly for women, that there's a 20-year gap between health and death for women. And typically by the age 62, uh, women have one or more chronic illness that keeps them from living their best life. But because of allopathic pharmaceuticals, we are able to cripple on for 20 odd years until we finally die. And so my goal for myself is to have my lifespan and my health span be neck and neck.
yes,
So
yes,
part of that is, you're right, Heather, is movement. Like diet, you'll never outrun a poor diet. However, you need a balance of it all. You
yes,
need to move it or you will lose it. And
yes,
there's no comfort in laying on the couch and Netflixing for hours on end. Like you've got to get up and move. The couch and the bed are not your friend.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And when you say too, like, I think I find that if even working out, there could be too much is too much. You can overdo it. You need to have some of your rest days. People say with the rest days doesn't mean necessarily stopping. Maybe it's just doing something a little gentler if you have to move. But it's, even if you have a little bit, just, I find if I'm achy or something, I feel that I just maybe go a little lighter that day. But if I just sit, it gets worse. I just cramp up, and I'm like you said, it's like, it just, you sit, you lose it, right? People, and I think
Yeah,
that's sort of a misconception sometimes with people, is that,
oh, I'm sore, I'm getting older, I can't do it. And I feel like for our audience, it's like there's no such thing as can't. It's just modification. And that way you can keep the longevity and matching your, your age to where like, and you even might feel younger starting in to engage your muscles and things, even though you think you're at an age, it's just a number, right? I guess that's the whole
Well,
thing I want to say.
everyone has a different starting point, right?
Right.
And it's starting at your personal starting point and making those small little achievable goals as you go. Sometimes people look at the gym, for example, and they're like, no, I can't lift weights. I can barely lift whatever. I can't go into the gym and lift weights. Well, maybe you don't start with weights right away. Maybe it's just your body weight. And then from there, your next goal might be a 2 pound weight or a 3 pound weight. And then, you know what I mean? It's just setting those goals, those small goals for yourself, not looking at others or, where maybe you want to be. Let's start where you are.
Exactly. It reminds me as a dental hygienist talking to some of my patients just about cleaning in between their teeth. And when I ask them, do you clean in between your teeth? Oh no, it makes my gums bleed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you were to clean in between your teeth more often, your gums won't bleed. The reason they're bleeding is because they're weak. And so it's a lot like
Yeah.
exercising, like you've got to get in there and do it. Otherwise, it's not going
Yeah.
to get better. Actually, it's going to get much worse and it's going to cost you a lot more money.
Yes, it's going to get much worse and a lot quicker.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Just using your own body weight. I mean, that's what yoga is, right? So it's using your own body weight in mastering some of those poses that help stretch you out. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just letting them start where they are. But some people just have a misconception over weightlifting in general. And like Sabrina opened up with, they think they're gonna be like Hulk Hogan or somebody. And really, we're just not designed. Our hormones do not allow us to be big like that. And most of those weightlifters, I think, probably have had enhancements, which, we are not going to be
Yes.
doing anyway.
Yes. And not only that, like I said, if you are going to be that big, you're in the gym, 7 days a week. You're
Hours.
lifting some hours on end. You're lifting some serious heavy, heavy weights.
And on that topic, okay, so if we start, I've seen women who start with like no weights and then we move up gradually and we get into the heavier weights. Would you say it's better to do, if you can, go up maybe one set of weights a little stronger and do less reps, or is it better to do lighter, more reps safely?
So it
Like
all
it
depends on
depends.
it depends on where you are in your journey and also what your goals are. So someone that's just starting out, you want to go less reps, less weight, or sorry, more reps, less weight, because you want to master the exercise that you're doing. You want to master that form and technique. So you want to be doing more reps and less weights. And then there's the other side to it with what are your goals? Are you looking to put on a little bit more muscle? So you would go more weight, more weight, less reps. So more strength training, power training. If you're looking to tone and slim down, you want to go less weights, more reps for more endurance style. So getting that heart rate up a little bit more, doing more reps, less weight.
Right.
Hopefully I
Yeah.
said that right.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what
you
came
had it
out of
right.
my head. I'm hoping I
Yep.
said it right.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
Um,
we
did.
got
You did.
because I think that's also sometimes confusing because you want to like you have maybe have weight that you want to lose. For example, some people go to the gym for that, for their own mental health, right? They want to like shed a little bit of weight, but then they also want to get some weight, like muscle weight on them or like, right? So I
so
think that's kind of the battle people face is that if you already have some weight on you, is that weight going to turn into muscle if you strength train instead of losing it, right? Because
right.
our generation was always cardio, cardio, cardio,
Yeah.
and now it's switched to like weight training.
Yeah.
So I think that's a part
So
of the challenge for.
if I have a client come in, like a personal training client, and they come in and they want to lose weight, but they also want to gain some muscle, I would do, 4 weeks of endurance style training. So meaning less weight, more reps. Do 4 weights. So we're gonna master those exercises. we're also going to slim down a little bit because it's more cardio style, it's endurance. And then the next, 4 weeks after that, the next 4 week block, we'll go into more strength training. So we'll up our weights, we'll down our reps a little bit more, try to really build up those muscles. And then just you kind of maneuver between the two depending on your body and how you're making out and where you want to be.
Makes sense.
So
Yeah.
for women who have never broached the idea of strength training, where would you suggest they start?
Definitely. So someone that's never worked out before with
Right.
weights.
Right. Who've done free weights. Maybe they've done the machines, they've gone to the gym, done the machines, things like that. But as far as like free weights or some type of like strength training necessarily, like where should they start or how should they start?
Well, if they're able to, I definitely suggest starting with, a personal trainer or group fitness somewhere where they can learn proper form and technique because it's very important. I always tell people form and technique comes first over upping your weight over anything else. Because if you don't have proper form and technique, A, you could injure yourself,
Mhm.
and B, you're not getting everything you can out of performing that exercise.
Yeah.
So definitely starting out with someone that knows and is able to guide you would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because just willy-nilly going to like Walmart or Target or ordering weights and going and doing it at home, if they may not have the right technique and therefore they could hurt themselves and that's going to send them like, well, I can't do this. This doesn't feel good. And maybe they're just not doing the technique right. And
Exactly.
it can open them up for injury that will cause them more issues and more problems.
And then they're not motivated to continue on with it.
Right.
Um, yeah. And like I said, and you're also not getting everything you should be getting out of that exercise. So
Good
maybe
point.
you're not using the right muscles in that particular exercise, or you're not, getting the right range of motion or things like that.
So on a given week, like what do you think is a safe recommendation for women to do some strength training?
When I did my active aging certification through CanFit Pro, their recommendation was 2 to 3 times per week for 55 plus.
Okay. And for how long? Like 30 minutes, an hour?
So 45 minutes is their
Okay.
recommendation. That would be including, your warm up. You always want to warm up. You always want to cool down. You got to warm those muscles up, get them stretched out, ready to go, and then cool down. You want to bring everything down nice and easy, nice and slow. So 45 minutes in total. So a good 30 minutes of strength training.
And what about muscle groups? Does it matter? Should we do whole body workout? Should we just aim for certain body parts, certain days of the week? What is your recommendation there?
So you always want to work out your whole body. But that being said, depending on how many times per week you're going to be doing, depends on whether or not you're going to be doing full body or if you're going to group it into upper and lower body, or maybe you're doing 3 days a week and you're doing chest, triceps, and back one day, and then you're doing biceps and oh, I can't think right now, shoulders,
Legs.
lats
Mm-hmm.
one day, and then you're doing legs
Mm-hmm.
the next day. Um,
Okay.
you can change it up, but you just want to make sure that you're hitting all parts of the body. So I think I forgot core in there. Don't forget your core.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
important. Very, very important. Good for posture, balance, a number of things. So don't forget
Absolutely.
core.
Yeah.
And would you say like even the importance of a stretching day, like some sort of that's important to like a full day, like not a full day, but maybe taking in between those days, like taking the time to really have like good stretch time
Yes.
off, like a yoga or something like that. Pilates, like I don't know if Pilates would be more so stretching because you're using your core, but something in between, like that's important, right? For us to like really get the stretching in there. after workout?
Stretching is extremely important. As you guys can kind of relate, being in the dental field, flossing is super important, but a lot of people overlook it or don't put as much effort into it. In the fitness industry, people work out, but when it comes to stretching, they don't find it isn't important when it's extremely important, and especially as we age because we tense up and those muscles when we work out they contract, they get tight, and if you leave them there then they stay tight. We need to lengthen them back out, we need to stretch them out. We need to do this also for our joints and our range of motion. Stretching is extremely important.
Couldn't agree more. And I know as I've gotten older, stretching has become more on my radar because I do feel my body tensing up, especially my hamstrings and my
Yeah,
hips. Those in particular have gotten tighter. And I used to be such a loosey-goosey girl, like
yeah,
acrobatic and do all kinds of things. And it's like, when was it that I last touched my toes?
yes,
Like,
yeah.
this is no longer easy. Like it just stinks. But anyway, I'm working. Last year, my goal was to become more flexible. And this year is to continue that on and working in with more of a continuation of my strength training. I was already doing some of it, but then I think I said before, like COVID hit and I kind of like got off of my routine because my gym closed down for a while. And then when they opened back up, they didn't have the same schedule that was conducive to my work life. So anyway,
Right.
that long story to say that I'm now back on it and I'm feeling good.
Good.
Um,
And stretching is something that is like you could do a few minutes a day
Mhm.
in your own home. You don't need equipment for it. Um, you know,
Yeah. And I've often said, like, as a hygienist, like, we're supposed to brush our teeth twice a day. We're supposed to spend about 2 minutes. So while you're brushing your teeth, you can be practicing balancing. You can be, bending over and touching your toes or doing some stretches. Like, it's an easy way to incorporate it with something else that you're already doing.
yes.
And when it comes to, I know we talked a little bit about nutrition, so let's we're all kind of in the nutrition field as well, I think. But what are like when it comes to working out, what are some things that we think we should incorporate as we age into our diets, or are there like some not like a supplement that we should take or shouldn't take, or is there something that we should be doing in order to enhance what we're doing in the gym and help repair our muscles, perhaps, or something like that that would nourish us well in the times that we're working out.
So for what I know in regards to nutrition and my field of work, protein is extremely important to help build and repair those muscles after working out. And also, protein is something else that as we get older and we lose that muscle mass more quickly, it's important that we get that protein back into our diet. It's something that I think too. I talk to women in the gym and they say, "Well, protein, like, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big meat eater." Well, protein comes in a bunch of other things that don't have to be animal proteins. So things, like oats and Greek yogurt, and you have your legumes and your seeds and things like that. So I think that's another thing is with women especially. Well, I'm not a big meat eater. You can get protein in other ways.
And then knowing how much to take in, right? There, I think it's like, isn't it 1 gram per, is that 1 gram per
Per
seven? No, 1 pound,
pound,
1 7.
1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight.
Right.
And then it
Depends on,
varies depending on, again, where you're at and what's your goals are and things
right.
like that.
And is it safe to say that like a clean, if, not substitution, but if would it be safe to say that you could take a protein supplement, like a protein powder if you needed to supplement your diet just to get that extra
I'm
protein?
actually glad that you mentioned that because the biggest thing with protein shakes, protein bars, and things like that, I tell people all the time, you should be looking at the amount of protein as well as the sugar, because especially in those protein bars, the the large majority of them are packed full of sugar. There's only a select few that have little to no sugar. So that's something that you have to be very aware of when choosing your shakes and your bars. Because some people think, well, I had a protein bar. So they think they're doing something good for themselves because it's a protein bar. But in all reality, it has 20 grams of sugar in it.
Right. And we know
So,
that sugar has a very negative effect on us. So you're
yeah,
kind of counterintuitive. You're kind of like it's counterproductive. I guess it's not intuitive,
exactly.
counterproductive. If you're working out and feeding yourself sugar, it's not
Yeah,
gonna.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
We're
had,
big on no sugar, not no
yeah,
sugar, but like we're, Dabney's very well versed. She does a lot of stuff on sugar and doesn't. So
yeah. I had a
we always
client
talk
once
about
who
that.
was, I was working with her to try and manage like her snacking and things. And it turned out she was a little bit gluten sensitive. And so anyway, I was just talking to her about some good snacks to have. And so she went and she got this gluten-free cracker stuff. And so she goes, well, it's gluten-free. I was like, but it's still carbohydrate. It's still not the best snack for you. So sometimes it's like, well, it's protein, right? So it's protein. It must be good for me.
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and eat this, not realizing the trickle effects of what happens. Like, yeah, it's a snack, but is it the best choice for you? Like you
exactly.
got to look at everything, not just the commercial advertisement on the front of the wrapper. Because, of course, it's geared to say, oh, this is good for you. This is protein. It's got 12 grams of protein, all the things. And so you're thinking, yeah, you're right. You're doing the best thing for yourself. But in reality, don't believe anything that's on a wrapper or on a box. You got to turn it over
Absolutely.
and really look at the nutritional guidelines.
Maybe you can attest to this. But when I did, again, my active aging certification, they had said with labels for those that aren't very, very versed in nutrition and things like that, the 15 under rule. So anything on the side of the label, 15% and under, is supposed to be much better. Anything 15% and over, you're supposed to leave it alone, not touch it. Is that,
I haven't
you
heard
heard?
that before, but I can
No?
see how that would work.
Okay.
Especially for age like older age groups like that don't really can't
Yeah.
really understand nutrition. I think that would be an easy way for them to
Mhm.
understand. And also like the if it has less ingredients on it, it's better for you. If you can't read the ingredients, don't buy it kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what
But
they were kind of saying when I did the active aging, because, a lot of elderly don't, you know, they don't really know how to read the back of the label. So it's just trying to find different, simpler ways to look at it.
Well,
yeah.
and the key too is looking at the added sugars. Now, manufacturers have to put in their added sugars, not what naturally occurs, like in dates or, grapes or whatever. But now they have to label what they actually put into everything else. And so that's a good clue into all the extras because there are some things that are just naturally sweet. So that's not such a bad thing because you're getting the whole constituency of the plant or the fruit within the bar or whatever it is you're having. But when they're adding all the extras, that's when it becomes more of a processed, highly processed, overly processed, and sugar laden product. I don't even want to call it food, it's more of a product.
Right.
Well, and then nowadays we have all the different like stevia and xylitol and these kind of things as well that are somewhat better for you, but they're still a modified sugar. Would you agree, Dabney? Like they're still
It's
somewhat
still a
sugar.
processed sugar.
So it's a
Yes.
processed sugar. So we still have to be careful because I see a lot of these health products are made with xylitol, stevia, Truvia, these kind of name brand. I know that's a name brand I'm not endorsing, but it's
Mhm.
just, it says use those instead, but still it's processed. So we just have
Yeah.
to be mindful,
Well,
right?
and I think
I
it's
think
I
is the
think it's a
point.
good bridge
Yeah.
because for somebody who has such an addiction to sugar, going cold turkey just seems alarming. It
Hard.
just scares them to death. And then you got all the side effects of coming off of your addiction, which is you're gonna be grumpy, you're not gonna sleep well, you're gonna get headaches for about 4 to 5 days. And some people just they can't deal with it. So xylitol and some of these other things can be a nice bridge as long as you're working toward abstaining from added sugar.
I think that's great.
And then there's all the other things that we sort of, a lot of people take at their own leisure. And I think we have to make sure that we say that consult with your own medical visit, like your physicians or anything when you start taking any supplements to make sure they're not doing anything harmful, and make sure you get them from, they're well sourced, sustainable. But there's the things like creatine, collagen, all these things that people also like to take, BCAAs. So there's things that people like to supplement for muscle repair and health of skin and things like that, right? Like, would you agree, Heather?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I personally do BCAAs, um, but like you said, everyone's different. Definitely talk to your healthcare provider before starting anything, um, just to make sure.
And yeah, I mean, it's just like, I think if you just take a good, step back, they always say with nutrition, working out, anything you do, it's like always shop, like our tidbit too for anybody listening is always shop the parameters of your grocery store. So that kind of stay away from the like aisles. Unless it's like canned goods that you're looking for, but also read the labels there because there could be hidden sugars, salts, that kind of thing in there, right? Um, but now with prices of being crazy, sometimes even the frozen vegetables are fine to eat. It's some people steer away from those, but nowadays with the prices of how crazy everything is skyrocketing, you just have to make sure again that there's not a lot of sugar and salt in those products because sometimes they do add preservatives. But that's kind of the key as well. And I think that works hand in hand with working out. And yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
Heather, I
yeah.
love that you have a tribe of women who can come together and just be women and talk about all of their chronic issues, or even, personal things. Because, as you get to know people day in and day out or week after week in these classes, like they become your new friends and your new tribe. And so there's this trust that happens just magically, with women in general. And you just form relationships and you can just be vulnerable. And it's such a wonderful place to be. And I think women more so need our tribe. Men,
Absolutely.
men have, I don't know, they do be more independent, I guess, and just get together for bro time or whatever. But for women, like, I think we need just a safe space just to feel so we can be vulnerable, be heard, be understood, because I'm not sure men actually understand women and women understand women.
Well, I honestly, that's why the she shed is because selfishly I needed that. It
Yeah.
was, after COVID, and I so badly needed that in my life. I needed other women. I needed someone that was going to understand me and why I was feeling the way I was feeling and the things that were going on in my body, and just someone that could relate to me. So yeah, it started out very selfishly, but now
Mhm.
it's a community of women. It's my second family.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and getting older, with such a society who focuses so much on youth and not getting older, and ways to combat that, like, there's all the Botox and fillers and
Yeah.
hair things and extensions. I mean, there's all this stuff to try and maintain our youth. Yet, if we were to eat well, if we were to do the things like you're suggesting and exercise and do strength training, and try to manage our stress, all of those things really wouldn't be so necessary because we're going to look younger, we're going to feel younger, and we're going to be natural beauties rather than the ones that are just enhanced.
Well, and embracing each stage of your life and
Absolutely.
Exactly.
feeling good, and just embracing each stage of life comes with so much,
Yeah.
like, to
And
enjoy.
I love being postmenopausal because I care less now than I ever have about what people think or what they say. Like, I don't care. I feel like I have grown into my own and my chrysalis is off and I am what you get. So take it or leave it. So there is and something to embrace with every turn of a zero in front of a number. Like celebrate it. And we should celebrate because we're wiser. We've lived through some of these things that have been difficult in life. And so we can actually shed wisdom on to other women who have yet to get there.
And that's what I hope throughout all of this, because, as I grew up, nothing was ever talked about.
Mm-mm.
My, anything from, all the stuff that happens in your body or what happens to your body as you get older. And, I turn to the women in the gym and I talk to them about things happening in my body now. And I'm so glad and thankful to have that in my life. And I think us as women need to get together more and share those things. So you don't feel alone. You don't feel like there's something wrong with you or with your body.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it takes you down that it takes you, sorry, it takes you down that rabbit hole, like, and you get really dark and deep and you just feel isolated if you don't have that tribe or someone to turn to, right? Because like you said, Dabney, too, like men have their bros. And even if you have a person, your person in your life, they don't often get where we're coming from because they're not a woman. They don't
right,
understand, where we're
right.
coming from. If we're having those moments, they kind of look at you like you're going a little cuckoo or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
They're like, what is wrong with you? Or
yeah,
oh, it's just the 10 month, or this is that, it's just your
Yeah.
hormones or whatever. No, but there's more to it than that. And so with women, we can actually talk about it. And I've even found myself in your classes, like I just love this. Like sometimes I don't say anything, but just hearing the conversations around me, it makes me
yeah,
happy hearing people talk about it with and the older, the younger, and they're all like at different stages. It's really nice that both people have things to bounce off each other, right? And
yeah,
it's a neat feeling.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. We need more she sheds around.
Let's
You
do
need to
it.
like spread your wings. Let's do it. We should open them
Yeah,
all over. We should
yeah,
make them a thing because I do believe that it really is all part and parcel about having accountability. I mean, I know people who here, like in neighborhoods around here, they do a lot of walking. Like they have a group that sets out at a certain time and they go walking every day at that time, 2 or 3 times a week or whatever it is, to keep them accountable. And that's important, right? Because
yeah,
sometimes people need that. If you're by yourself, maybe you don't have a spouse, maybe your spouse is traveling a lot or working or whatever, and you just need that motivation to get out of, because you can really up here especially can feel quite isolating, right? You can
yeah,
just kind of sink away into your own little couch or little place and not move, right? So it's really important. That I think that's one of the things I'll say as a takeaway from all of it is find your tribe, find people to motivate you, people to keep you accountable as you get through all the different stages in life, and just feel free to talk about your experiences.
yes, yeah.
What would be your takeaway, Dabney?
Yeah, I think you've shed a lot of light on especially beginners and where to start. So I would just say takeaway is don't let the gym or weightlifting be intimidating. And I like that you work with people who have just not really had much experience with weightlifting, but who are curious maybe about it. So I would just say be curious and just start. Just start. Go to a class. I think hiring a personal trainer is a great idea and a good place to start, especially for someone who is unfamiliar with weight training, because you want to make sure that you're not going to hurt yourself. And I think that's the main thing, because then if you hurt yourself, you're definitely not going to want to ever try it again. You're going to decide like this is not good for me. So
Exactly, yeah.
yeah.
And Heather, if you have one like what would be a takeaway that you would give our listeners that would give them the healthy dose of happiness for strength training and aging?
The hardest part is getting your foot in the door. Just take a deep breath and you won't regret it. Whether that's the door of the gym, whether that's a personal training session, whether that's clicking go on a YouTube video, um, you know, uh, you're only going to benefit yourself. So
Awesome.
that would be my little tidbit.
Awesome. And one last question I forgot to ask, but what are 3 effective, if somebody wanted to start today without weights, let's say, and they have little time in their day to do, let's say 10 minutes, even just 10 minutes to start, what would be 3 sort of non-weighted exercises that they could incorporate in their world to just get a feel for something of
Uh,
strength training?
a plank is always a good solid start. As I said earlier, your core strength is very important, but people don't realize in a plank, you're also working your chest, your shoulders, your legs. And a plank can be modified. So there's beginner level planks, and you can work your way up to, the harder version, as well as you can extend the time a little longer as you go. So plank's always a good start. Lunges are great, especially, lunges. We talked about this in our active aging certification. If you happen to fall, how are you getting up off the ground? Well, essentially, you're going to eventually get that one leg up, and you're going to have to do a lunge to push yourself back up. So a lunge, again, can be modified. So using
Holding a
that,
wall or
holding a
something, right? A
wall, holding
chair.
a chair, and not sinking down as deep into that lunge. And eventually, sinking a little deeper, getting rid of whatever it is you're using to balance, right? And then squats are always very important too. We need that leg strength. Push-ups, and people are going to think push-up. Oh my gosh, I can't do a push-up. I'm talking when you're starting out, you're just pushing away from the wall. You're standing up, you're pushing away from the wall. You need that chest strength, also arm strength. So yeah, those are
Awesome.
4 things that you can do body weighted that can be very simplified and a good start.
Great. I love it.
Me too. Do you have any more questions, Dabney, or any?
No,
I
no,
think
this
we
has been
covered quite a
great. Heather,
bit.
thank you
It was
so much
great.
for your insights, especially as we're getting older and we want to, be stronger. We want that health span, not lifespan, to be really close together. So you're right. Strength training is certainly where it's at, especially as women. It's going to help our bones and our muscles stay stronger as we age. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much for having me, ladies.
Thank you for coming. And if anybody's around the areas, check out the She Shed. It's in Salmon Falls. And if you're not in the area, check out any kind of facility or anywhere that you can get some strength training. We are glad to have Heather, and that's it for now. We'll see you next time.